Okay, is my mic on now? Yes, it should be on. We should be good to go in just about every way possible. Okay, my goodness. Wow, it's been a real thing. It's kind of been a reminder of why I don't really do capture card gameplay stuff for streams, because it is a giant pain. It is a giant pain. And if you're wondering why it's not my usual slightly nicer webcam, it's because that one has decided to stop working. It doesn't work. Doesn't no matter what port I plug it into. It just doesn't work. It's just sitting there. No power received. No interaction whatsoever. So I'm back to this old-timey webcam, which maybe some people will remember. Anyway, starting the stream early. I have no idea whether people show up, how many people show up, but I like to start early anyway, just to give a bit of lead time, and also just in case something goes horribly wrong with the streaming equipment. Sorry, too much technical stuff. How are you doing? Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you being here and checking out the stream and visiting the channel. I'd also quickly like to apologize, I guess, for not having a bunch of videos lately. But long story short, I have other obligations. I've made a couple posts about that. I've been in the Discord about that. So if you're curious, you can look into that over there. Yeah, so it's been a very busy couple of weeks. Between my work and some other obligations, I just haven't had the time to really write or record or edit much of anything at all. So that's why. But don't worry, that will most likely be resolved quite soon. And I do have several ideas for upcoming videos, and of course I'm always open to suggestions for new videos. So it's all good. It's all fine. It's just been tough recently. But here we are today. And very quickly, I would like to explain why I've made this particular game on the left side of the screen here not the focus of today's stream, but it is what I'll be playing quite a bit of it. At least I'm planning to. And that's because just the other day, I think it was the 8th, we had the Nintendo Direct, first of the year, and one of the big announcements there was that we were getting Game Boy and Game Boy Advance emulation, depending on your subscription to Nintendo Switch Online. And as is the case with other emulation services that Nintendo has offered through this subscription, they have a very specific selection of games that they're offering to begin with. And aside from that, they tend to release or make additional games available very slowly over a very extended period of time. For some reason, I still don't really understand the motivation behind that. I don't quite get that at all. Anyway, Game Boy Advance. I only get the Game Boy stuff because I'm not subscribed to the much more expensive NSO tier. And yes, for all intents and purposes, really, it is exciting. It's an exciting thing that finally, 5, almost 6 years after the Switch launched, we can play certain Game Boy games on the Switch in an official capacity, as opposed to hacking it and putting our own ROMs on it and stuff like that. But that's the elephant in the room, and I'll just go ahead and make these complaints and sticking points early on, because it's, I don't want to linger on it for too long. But for anyone who's more familiar with emulation and what's possible through emulation, it's not that big a deal to have official access to these games on the Switch. It's convenient, and that's going to be the biggest advantage for most people. But anyone who has any the smallest bit of knowledge about emulation already has access, if they want, to all their old cartridge-based Game Boy games. If you have the cartridge, if you have a backup, or if you're a filthy pirate and you get illegal copies of those games, you can run them on just about any system around. So in my case, I even have a big pile of technology here on my desk that, in one way or another, allows me to play Game Boy games already. So why not do a quick tour? Here is the Game Boy Color. This is my childhood Game Boy Color. Still works great. I got a replacement backing because I lost that and replaced a couple of the parts and such. Works wonderfully. And in fact, here is this. This is the original Game & Watch. Oh, it's not really in focus, is it? It's hard to see with the lighting. But I promise you that is the cartridge for Game & Watch Gallery 3. And it's the same one I had when I was a kid. Still plays just fine. The battery died, which means all the saves went away. But that's okay. I can replace that. So that can play it. I also have a GBA I got from Japan. This plays it just fine. Wonderful. No problems there. I have a Retroid Pocket 2. I think it's the 2. This can hold basically as many Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games I would like and plays them flawlessly in most cases. I also have a Steam Deck here. And the Steam Deck also does an excellent job of playing Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games. Even my smartphone, to be honest, can play these games just fine. No issues whatsoever. So, yeah, it's kind of exciting to have official access to some of those games once again. At the same time, I'm not, jumping up and down in fits of joy at having access to the games through Switch as opposed to one of these other means. So it's kind of odd. Anyway, getting to the real heart of the matter, no one seemed to care about the announcement of Game & Watch Gallery 3. It was a childhood favorite of mine, and I'm going to play some of it today. Whoa, too loud. At least in my ears, it's way too loud. How's that? Is that okay? That's okay. I love this game. I like Game & Watch Gallery 3 a whole lot. I've played the other Game & Watch Gallery games since then. They have their own strengths. This one, to me, is the most fleshed out. It's the most fully featured. It's probably the best looking for the time. And despite some glitches here with the emulation, this is a great way to play it. Why am I not playing on a Switch? Didn't work. It worked on the Switch, but my capture card and the other tech required flat out didn't work. But sorry. Oh, hi Basic Weeb. Thank you for joining. I'll let this play in the background because it's a great question that Basic Weeb has here, and I'm also very interested in it. Asks, what are your opinions on the Persona 3, 4, and 5 ports? Thank you for the clarification. No, don't worry about any spelling errors. I do that stuff all the time. I have started Persona 5 several different times across many different platforms. At some point, I tried to emulate it. At some point, I was playing it on... No, I guess after that, I went right to the Game Pass version. And I've been playing it there and enjoying it a whole lot. That's also how I got into Persona 4. Been playing on a Game Pass, although I think I'd rather get it on Steam and play it on the Steam Deck, because it was built for a handheld device to begin with, right? So I'll probably do that. It's not that expensive on Steam. So far, I've been very happy with those specific ports of those games that I've played. I don't have any major issues. That said, I'm not comparing it to the original versions. I didn't have a PS3. I didn't have a Vita. I didn't have a PS4. The only one that I've really started to hear a bunch of complaints about is Persona 3, and maybe Weeb, you can you can attest to this, but I have heard quite a few negative things about the port because it's specifically a port of the Persona 3 Portable version, right? Which I don't think was the original game, as far as I understand. But yeah, I've heard that it was just like sort of batch AI upscaled assets for a lot of assets in the game. I've heard that the audio quality of that port is not very solid, and that's also the one that I just haven't touched personally at all. I just haven't played that one. So please, if you have thoughts about that port, or there's anything that you would like to make known or warn me against in that port, please let me know. Because I don't want to play like an inferior version. If I have a way to play, what people consider to be the better version, which if it happens to be the original, I'll do that. I'll find a way to do that, as opposed to something that was maybe rushed out the door a little bit. But as for 4 and 5, I personally haven't had any big issues with it so far, or with them so far. But yeah, I'm very happy that this stuff is being offered on Game Pass specifically right now, because it's just a doorway for so many people, and because it's been largely a Sony exclusive series for so long. I just think it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense to open the series up to a whole bunch more people. We know that there are tens of millions of people subscribed to Game Pass. And there's a good chance that a lot of those people just haven't had access to these games before. So I'm down with that. I'm never really on board with like system exclusive or platform exclusive games. I understand why it's a thing, but it's not something that I agree with or that I'm really on board with. Weeb has some more details for us. Let's see if I can I multitask? I'm decent at this particular mini game, so we'll see. Persona 3 Portable was made for the PSP. I played it on the Switch in portable mode. But yes, the upscale isn't bad, but not good. Happy with the audio. Okay, so it actually sounds decent based on that. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. That's the other thing, is that, yeah, like these also got the ports also got released for the Switch. But I had a hard time swallowing specifically the price of Persona 5. Isn't Persona 5 on Switch like the full $60? And I just, that compared to sort of free on Game Pass, I just I can't stomach right now. If it goes on super sale at some point in the future and I could have it on the Switch and it doesn't like murder the battery, I would happily do that. That would be another great platform for all those games, obviously. So Weeb, have you played have you played 3, 4, 5 before? Or started some and didn't finish all of them, or completionist? Did you do all of them already, or what's the deal? I'm relatively new to the Persona series, so I'm definitely not, old school hardcore, followed it forever. This is going well. When I was a kid, this particular minigame, which is called Egg, was one of my favorites. It's definitely one of the most mindless, you just have to aim at the different directions. You're not moving or anything. So it was all just D-pad on the Game Boy, and that was A-okay. I don't, how old was I when I had this? I guess I would say like maybe 9 or 10, around there, and then continued to play it forever, of course. And today, unfortunately, I have to play it with keyboard controls. Not what I was hoping for, but apparently the emulator I'm using here, which is not illegal, I promise, the gamepad input adds a bunch of slowdown. So I wasn't going to do that. So I get to use WASD to handle all this stuff. And it's not ideal, but we're going to make it through just the same. Weeb says, with Persona 5, my Switch lasts about 4-ish hours. 16 is my first time playing. See, this is when it gets tough to do both. Don't worry, I'll get there. First time playing 3. I haven't started 4, and I played 5 on my PS4 like 7 times since I was 12. Oh, okay. So you've been there. You've been on this stuff a lot longer than I have. Gotcha. I respect. And hold on, you've played 5 7 times, like to completion 7 different times. And is that original or is that golden? Not golden. 4 is golden. Persona 5 Royal is the extended version, right? I'm giving up on this round, by the way. Isn't Royal like 100 hours to 100%? I would assume it's at least like 50 to do like main story stuff, right? Does that sound about right? You're the expert here, so you let me know. Ugo's here. Welcome back. How you doing? Sorry, it's been so long since I've had a stream up. Ugo says, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. I know the reference just fine, so I will respond with the next line of dialogue, which is, thank you. I think that's what he says, right? Feel free to correct me. Yeah. Oh, are we even getting screen tearing on this? Yeah, so I promise this is not illegal because you saw earlier I showed the physical cartridge. I have it. I backed it up. That's what I'm playing, a backup of the cartridge that, well, I didn't buy it. My parents bought when I was like 9 or 10 years old. We're okay. As for the furthest I've gotten in Persona 5 is the second palace. I don't want to get too much into the story stuff or spoiler stuff, just in case. But yeah, second palace. I've played the first palace 3 or 4 times on different like save files on different systems. So I'm very familiar with the opening of the game. But this is really the point where they start to flesh out the cast, and getting new villains and stuff is so exciting because I don't know anything. I haven't looked into spoilers really. I don't know how everything ends or the different endings you can get, so it's pretty exciting. I'm kind of surprised at just how much I've actually connected with the time management and life sim aspects of the game. I didn't think I would be into that stuff with Persona, but it's been great. It's such an interesting switch between somewhat hardcore RPG turn-based combat and let's go to the batting cages. See if we can up our stats. Oh, that's it. Definitely not my best, but that's okay. I'm gonna give myself a break since I'm multitasking. Weeb says, I played the original 3 and Royal 5. And yes, I restart my new file right after. I can now beat it in about 50-ish hours if I speedrun. If I take my time, it's 70 to 100. Weeb, I think your name is inaccurate. I don't think there's anything basic about your indulgence here. That is almost intimidating in how impressive it is, your commitment to to that game even in particular. Wow. I'm sure I'll finish it once at some point in my life, and that'll be the high point of my Persona career. But multiple times to completion, that's wild to me. That's pretty crazy. Real quick note, so if you don't know what this actually is, the Game & Watch systems were early Nintendo handhelds in the 80s, right? So they only had a few frames of animation. It's I think they were liquid crystal screens. So if they have the classic versions of each of these games. What you just saw earlier was the modernized version for the time, the late 90s, of Egg. This is what the original looks like, to give you a sense of the difference. So Nintendo really likes nostalgia and looking back at their history. So this series of games was a way for them to repackage old games while also adding modernized versions, using their contemporary Nintendo characters as opposed to just... I don't think this guy's in Smash, as far as I know. And to be honest, the classic versions are typically harder than the modern versions. Maybe it's the lack of individual frames. I don't know. Okay, so Weeb, I have another question for you. Also, Ugo, have you played any of the Persona stuff? Have we talked about that before? Ugo's a standby here on the channel, so we've talked about a few game series and stuff before. Um, so Ugo, have you played Persona at all? And Weeb, how do you have any specific feelings on the SMT series, the Shin Megami Tensei stuff that I think Persona spun off from? Is that correct? See, already this is this is hardcore gaming at its finest, as you can tell. Yeah, have you played the SMT stuff? Because I've dabbled in Persona. I have never touched. This is awful. I have never touched an SMT game, but SMT 5, I have been. Wow. I swear it was better at this as a kid, but maybe I'm just rose-colored glasses or something. I have not played any of the Personas. Gotcha. Any interest or not your thing? Not an RPG guy or anything like that? Okay, I think this one, it's tough. Oh, it's tough. Weeb says, as a fan, Record of Ragnarok Season 2, am I getting that right? Is better than the Season 1. Then again, I'm up to date on the manga. I read it monthly when a new chapter comes out. Okay. We're just putting that on the record. Or it's called Record of Ragnarok. Am I getting that right? Season 2 is better than Season 1. Okay. That's good to know. I tend to keep a running list of suggestions of other shows and games that I just haven't tried out yet. As for SMT, I want to start it, but unlike Persona, there are a lot of spin-offs. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't... I'm trying to remember. It was one of the Persona spin-offs. I think there was one Persona spin-off that was like a rhythm game or something, which I haven't touched. But I have heard that there's a lot of SMT stuff in general. Like, it's just a lot of, not necessarily garbage, but not mainline games. That was awful, by the way. I apologize for that terrible gameplay. But you get the idea. That's what the original versions of these games looked like. And then they just modernized this stuff. And then in Game & Watch Gallery 3, if you get high enough scores on various things, you get little stars here next to each version. And if you do that, you can unlock other Game & Watch games, which is kind of fun. I never unlocked them all. I was never that good. But we can check out stuff in the gallery of Game & Watch Gallery, and you unlock different buildings and stuff. So this is Music Room. This is kind of fun. It's called Record of Ragnarok. Okay, I have not checked it out. So thank you. I'll put that in my ongoing list. Yeah, so check this out. We can just do things. What does this do? Tempo we can do. Very fun. I don't know what this is doing. I have no idea what that's doing. Anyway, you just go through and listen to different songs from the various minigames. But we haven't unlocked very much. Weep says, it's about different gods from mythology, plus Shiva from the Hindu religion versus humans for history. My favorite fight was Jack the Ripper versus Heracles. Oh my gosh. Have you mentioned this before? This does sound vaguely familiar, so either you or someone else, I think, has mentioned this before. So I'm going to write it down right now. Record of Ragnarok. Yeah, by the way, if anybody's been watching stuff lately, please let me know what it's been and whether it's any good. This is sort of an animation channel, sometimes. So if there's stuff you've been watching, and it's, yeah, you have some thoughts, that's what we're here to do as well. Let's check out another one. How about Turtle Bridge? I remember liking Turtle Bridge. Get a packet from the man on the island to the left. He doesn't have a name. And pass it to the man on the island to the right. Not a lot of lore for this one. Then return to the first island. Don't fall into the sea. That's good advice in general, to be honest. Let's give it a shot. Started me out kind of tough. I want all these coins. When the birds go to pop the balloons, you will fall. And you also just can't stand on them forever, so it's a little tricky there. Okay. Who won in the fight of Jack the Ripper versus Heracles? Unless it's like a intense spoiler, then don't tell me. But I'm just very curious now. Man on the right, they must be referring to the classic version, because I'm pretty sure the guy on the left is called Mario. And I think the lady over here on the right is called Anya Taylor-Joy, something along those lines. And this doesn't appear to be a package. I thought I messed that up. I'm hopeful for the One Piece live action. I can finally show my mom, who doesn't like anime, my favorite story. Boy, oh boy. We've talked about One Piece before, right? Also, I have a very important question, actually. So the first, 320 episodes were on Netflix, and I watched them in, a month. I might have mentioned that before. Where do I watch the rest of them? Is it all on Crunchyroll, or are they on different services? Messed that up. Yeah, that was bad. I'm sorry. So please, if you know where I can watch the rest of the series, let me know. But yeah, as for live action, I mean, totally fair. I definitely have people in my life too who just aren't super into the trappings of anime, either, for one reason or another. They don't like animation kind of in general. It just kind of turns them off from it. Or they specifically don't like the feel of, anime. So I get that, and I do think that's a potential advantage of live action adaptations. Getting more people interested and involved in a series. Unless, of course, it's the Cowboy Bebop adaptation, which doesn't seem to have done all that much for getting more people into the series, as far as I saw anyway. Oh, see, I wasn't looking. Kind of a spoiler since it's huge for the story, so I will not say it. Okay, I promise I didn't do that. I did not press that button. Can we get the replay on that? what happened? They forced me off after a certain amount of time? Oh, now it's getting tricky. Okay. Oh! Wow. That really escalated. Did I get any stars for that? 1 star. That was some 1-star play you just witnessed. Okay. It's kind of a spoiler since... Okay, yeah, so don't worry about the spoiler then. Beeb says, do what I do. Be like the crew and be a pirate. I'm joking. I watch it on Crunchyroll. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of pirating stuff if it's available somewhere, and it's easy enough to access somewhere. So, hopefully not. But okay, if it's all on Crunchyroll, that's fine. Sub or dub for One Piece in general? What are your personal feelings? Don't worry about trying to be objective or anything like that. Which do you prefer? Because I watched some of both throughout the first 300 or so episodes. So I got a bit of a taste of those two. Move packages along the conveyor belt and load them onto the truck. If you drop a package, you'll crush it. That makes sense. To win, Mario and Luigi must cooperate. That makes perfect sense to me. Yes, this one's a little bit more A and B move Mario up and down. And then the D-pad, which I'm emulating, moves Luigi up and down. So it's actually kind of... This might be difficult on keyboard. Yeah, I love the visuals on this one. I love the little pies or cakes. We rarely need these switches, but that's how we get to the switches. I love the little truck. Yeah, this is a great one for visual. Weep says, I like both. I'm not a die-hard sub or dub guy. Thank you. I actually really appreciate that because I think I feel the same way about it, whenever someone says like, oh, across the board, I only I only do the subs, I only do the dubs. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. Like, there's so much variety in both. Um, and the variations in quality of translations or of the cast for a dub and things like that. So yeah, this is gonna be a mess. This is gonna be bad. There are too many things to think about here. Nope. Yep, see, they do give you a little bit of leeway, like a fraction of a second or something to save the pies, but this is gonna get ugly very quickly. This is kind of tough. So B and A on my keyboard are K and L, and then WASD is my directional, is my D-pad, and it's not clicking in my brain. Oh, I at least want to see the little truck go away, though. I love when the truck drives off. Yeah, this is gonna be over very quickly. There's that. B, meaning K. Come on, Mike, you understand the controls. Oh, there it goes. Yes. Oh, I love it. It's kind of hard to explain why this stuff was exciting in the late 90s, but it's just there in my brain. Like, I can't detach my affection for these visuals and the gameplay. Okay, and then Luigi goes there. Mario goes there. This would be kind of interesting as it maybe way too easy as a 2-player game, but still, it'd be kind of fun to try out that way. Yeah, so every once in a while, Bowser does a thing, and you have to hit the switches. Weeb says, it's officially a new era of YouTube. The King PewDiePie is going to be a father. Oh my goodness. Oh, see, that's on me. I had not kept up with the news. I didn't know that he was. I guess it makes sense. How old is he even? Like, what, mid-30s ish? Is he closer to my age? I have no idea. But yeah, it's a thing that happens to a lot of people, isn't it? Having children. We'll see if it affects his output. What do you think that kid's gonna grow up to be? Think the kid's gonna have a nice, healthy upbringing? What do you think? Let's speculate about someone else's personal life. Oh, nope, this one first, and then that. We're kind of getting into a groove here. Okay, there it goes. He's 33. Okay, so he's a little bit older than me. I guess that's a common having a kid age, right? Late 20s, early 30s? I think so. Oh boy. What a great game this is. I literally haven't touched this particular minigame for many years. Yep, that's on. Yep. And I lost my star. And all the other pies. Uh-oh. Now things are ramping up. So yeah, how's everybody's week? I'm very happy it's over, for my part. That's pretty great. And it's also, I think it's a 3-day weekend for all of us in the States, or most of us here in the States. Oh, I want that. And meanwhile, I lose another life. So that would have been it. Okay. But yeah, a good week. Anything fun going on? What even time of year is it? Still winter. I don't feel winter as keenly here in California, but it does exist elsewhere. Holidays. We got Valentine's Day coming up. Everybody very excited about that. My Valentine's Days tend to be very bad, to be honest. Like, historically, it's not a great day for me. Pretty much by sheer coincidence, just bad stuff will happen around Valentine's Day. Um, PewDiePie lives in Japan, really, meaning that kids is probably going to grow up with Sweden, his dad, Italian mom, and Japanese culture. Interesting. So so you know quite a bit about his whole setup. Didn't know he lived in Japan. Didn't know he was romantically involved with an Italian woman, I would assume, in this case. But yeah, definitely a multicultural household, isn't it? That would be interesting. I can't say that I'm had quite as much variety in my upbringing in terms of cultural influence, but yeah, pretty neat. I think a lot of us are curious about what it's like to actually live in Japan, you know? And in fact, I've seen plenty of like YouTube channels of people who are like, "Oh yeah, I moved to Japan. Here's what it's actually like, good and bad, whatever." I don't think I have any expressed desire to live in Japan long term, but I do. Or rather, I would really like to just visit sometime. I don't know how expensive of a trip that would be, but I'd totally do it. I think that would be a really neat trip, as long as I felt confident about my ability to communicate. Because definitely in the past, when I have traveled around places, mostly in Europe, and you end up in a certain country where like very few people speak English, and you don't happen to speak the native tongue, it's actually pretty tough. Like it's it's not just a matter of like, okay, I'm gonna hop on Google Translate and like hope for the best. It's actually quite difficult to just communicate really basic things, or like, you know, order food in a restaurant other than just pointing to something. So that is kind of a fear of mine in terms of potentially traveling to Japan. Is like, what would I actually do? Do I have to specifically go with someone who is at least proficient in Japanese, you know, or like stay in an area where there are going to be enough people who speak English? And I do know that English, or I think that English is typically taught in Japan or a lot of Japanese schools, but it's definitely not a guarantee, you know, that you'll be able to just speak English and everybody gets it. So anyway, sorry, bit of a ramble there, but yeah, I'd love to visit. I think it would be really neat. I've heard great things from other friends who have visited, and yeah, I think it would be pretty cool. I also just haven't been out of the country for a very long time, and I would like to. There's definitely a different vibe when you finally make it out of the U.S. This is going okay. We started out very poorly, but I feel like it's sort of becoming muscle memory at this point. Okay. Okay. So is PewDiePie gonna like post a video of the birth or something? Is he announced plans for something like that? Yeah, we're doing okay. Yeah, this is bad now. Yep. Up, down, up, down. Throw that. It kind of throws me off when he throws one onto the truck. Weep says English is common in Japanese high school, much like American high school is French, Spanish, and Chinese classes. There you go. I've also seen that in certain anime, but I wasn't sure about the accuracy. Okay, that's good to know. I mean, although if I'm doing like a direct comparison to how I did with my own language classes in high school, I didn't hold on to a lot of it. I have some of it left. I did Spanish and French in high school. And then in college, I did some American Sign Language, which was great. That was really interesting. Oh, it's reversed. Oh, All my stars are gone. Weeb says, I don't think he's going to post it. That's fair. I was kind of joking, but I do think it would be funny if he was like, intimate detail. Here's the birth. Here's the birth video for all my subscribers. Mario, go down the ladder. Thank you. So what else has been going on lately in terms of like media stuff? Have there been any big new shows? I guess there have been some recent game releases. There was Forspoken, which I briefly followed, like the release of that game. There's been Hogwarts Legacy within the last week, right? And of course, there's controversy there. And as per usual, it seems like the controversy around the game hasn't done much of anything to, result in low sales. It's just a massive property. Of course, a bunch of people are going to buy it. So there's that. And I don't necessarily want to get into the arguments around that game. As for the game itself, I think I've heard pretty good things. I'm not sure at all whether I would have any real interest in playing it or not. And just for the record, I'm sure this is something I've mentioned before. I was not a Harry Potter kid at all growing up. I did not read the books. I did not watch the movies when they were coming out, and I was the right age to be involved in all that stuff. But I did not. I was not participating in it. See, that's the Switch thing, and I took care of it very well that time. This is a lot. So I don't know. But yeah, I think I saw a couple reviews, a couple gameplay videos, a lot of the preview footage. So, it's a thing. But who knows? Maybe at one point I'll play it if I feel like that's a good decision. Or maybe I won't. It's up in the air. Weeb says, I'm saving up for a PS5. Besides Elden Ring and God of War, IDK what games to get. Totally fair. I mean, Elden Ring, yeah. Yeah, Elden Ring. Elden Ring. I don't know if I'll ever finish Elden Ring unless I'm playing with mods or something. Boy, oh boy, is it a good one. Yeah. It's we already know this. Everyone has already said this. You don't need my opinion on it, but Elden Ring is fantastic. And I think you mentioned also God of War, Ragnarok, I assume. Yeah, I've also heard excellent things, of course. It was a Game of the Year contender for sure. So that'll be great. But in terms of what else on PS5, there's a couple things that come to mind. Do you have any interest in Returnal, Weeb? It's a roguelike shooter, but just great particle effects. I've heard it also has excellent sound design and like directional audio, and really cool monster designs and stuff like that. And I think it also makes good use of like the adaptive triggers on the PS5 controller. So I guess that's one to look out for. And honestly, I don't have a PS5. I've played on friends' PS5s on a number of occasions. Oh, everything's bad. Anyway, probably my favorite PS5 game that I have played personally. Bowser, come on, man. Is the pack-in game Astro Boy? What is the full title? Sorry, multitasking, but the pack-in game, it's basically just a demo of like the PS5 controller, and it's a 3D platformer. It is fantastic. That is one of the best like platformers that I have played, period. And it's gorgeous, of course. It's really beautiful looking. I love it to pieces, and I've heard that team behind that pack-in game are making another game in the Astro Boy series that's in a sort of similar style. I can't wait. I'll find some way to play it. Maybe I'll eventually get a PS5. I don't know. We got a new building. All right. So yeah, but that one's free. That's a free game. It's pretty short, but I love it. So that's definitely another one to kind of to keep in mind. Sorry, responding to a text here. What else? Ugo, can you think of anything for PS5 that's like really excellent? Just through osmosis of what we've heard about what is released for the system. What are some other things on there, like exclusives? Ratchet and Clank, that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart game looks pretty great. I have not touched it. It looks fantastic to me. So there's that one. But I don't know. I guess potentially if you also want to try out some of the VR stuff that the PSVR 2 is about to release, although that is also very expensive. So, you know, up to you whether or not that's worth it. But I'm hearing good things about the tech. And they have at least a few games on there that seem pretty interesting. Hey, we almost got 5 stars for that one. That's pretty cool. But yeah, we had another person in the another semi-regular person in the chat who kind of detailed their ongoing experience of trying to get a PS5 and the sort of mixed results there. But they did get one eventually, and they had very positive things to say about it, you know, and we're very excited to finally have it in hand. But yeah, other exclusive, I'm not sure. I know they're trying to push their own subscription service at this point too. So there's that if you're interested in getting games through, what is it, PS Plus or whatever. So yeah, up to you, but those are the ones that came to mind for me for that system. I would love if it got a price cut someday. I don't think it will. Unless you just get one used or something. But yeah, it would be interesting. Do we get to watch some pro gameplay here in the demo? I mean, they're pretty good. Who do you think recorded this footage? Was it the lead dev? Also, I want to look at that new building real quick. Boop, boop, boop. Sorry, there's more here that I missed. I'm sorry, Weep. I would like a game like that new Harry Potter game, but set in the Percy Jackson universe. Ooh, very interesting. A friend of mine is a big fan of the Percy Jackson series, so I am absolutely sure that they would agree with you on that. I never really looked into it too much, so I can't speak to that. But it sounds like a neat idea. Do you have any specific ideas for like which storylines it should follow, like which entry in the Percy Jackson universe you would want it to focus on, or like Hogwarts Legacy, would you think like sort of a prequel situation where it's technically new stuff, but it feeds into the environments and the characters and stuff that we already know about? Yeah. And then, and Weeb also says the Demon Souls remaster looks good. Yes, wasn't that one of the launch games for PS5? Or around the launch? That's a good point. I'd kind of forgotten about that one. And I have played it a little bit on a friend's PS5. I played like the first hour or so very little. But yeah, I mean, that was excellent. Obviously, it's a Souls game. It's FromSoft. It's very well done. It looks gorgeous. Not quite as much color as Elden Ring overall, but I can't really fault them for that. I think it's still excellent and follows its own vibe, you know. Sorry, Peach there was telling me that I've unlocked a game called Flagman, and I remember this. And the thing about Flagman is that I hate it. Memorize comms flag order and repeat it. So like Simon Says kind of thing, or Simon game. And game B, raise the same flag as comm as quickly as possible. Earn a star for every 5 points you get. Thing is, I don't know if the flags are like labeled. Oh, here they are. So up on the D-pad is one. I'm not gonna. Yeah. It's a little bit better with the visual. Did I do good? Oh, I got it wrong. That's 4. Oh no, yeah. 1, 3, 4, 1, 4. 1, 3, 4, 1, 4, 2. Oh no. Yeah, this is not a super fun game. That's gonna be about it for me. uh, nope. Yeah, thanks for that. That was a great time. Did I get any stars for that? Can we be done with that one forever? I got 1 star. Cool. Um, Weeb says, I would like it to be a news story where you get to pick everything about your character. Cool. Okay, so in that sense, pretty similar to Hogwarts Legacy, right? Where it's you're just create a character. It seems like the character creation in that game is pretty deep, I guess. So that's very cool. That's pretty neat. But yeah, it would be a neat idea. I don't know. Have there been any Percy Jackson games at all? Any video game adaptations there? Or has it just been sitting around and like nobody's snatched it up yet or something? Because I guess it's been a little while. I can't remember when the last movie was. I didn't follow the books, so I'm not sure about that. But I'm sure you know all the details there. What else should we do here? We can look at Donkey Kong Jr. briefly. This is a sort of interesting one. It's kind of the most like a regular video game. So here we are, DK Jr. You gotta get the key. And you gotta get Donkey Kong out of the cage. And Mario's just kind of hanging out, I guess, for this one. Weeb says, there's one, but it's an adaptation of the god-awful movie. Oh, so it's like one of those, it's a movie, licensed movie game. Those can be so bad. Those can be, especially back in the day, there were so many movie tie-in games. And just about every one of them was junk. Like, absolute, wow, I didn't think I was going to make it. Absolute junk. I'm trying to remember specific ones. I think there were some for like the Nickelodeon movies. There was one for Emperor's New Groove that I think is actually kind of decent. But to my memory, most licensed movie games were just not very good stuff. Can we get there in time? Bird? Woo! Hoo-hoo. Okay. Okay. All right. We're done one more. Okay. Come on, bird. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Hey, Toods, what's up? Thanks for being here. Also, now people's names are in color. Is this a new feature, or is it because I've unlocked... I think I unlocked, like, donations and stuff. Not that we really need that. Is that part of that? Or is YouTube just trying to be more like Twitch? Like, yeah, you get a color for your little name, but I like it. Anyway, how's it going, Toods? I was referencing some of our earlier conversations, by the way, because Weeb here was... This is tough. Weeb here was talking about saving up for a PS5 and, like, trying to think of the games they would really want to get for it. So if you have, like, a list of, like, this is the best stuff that I've gotten on PS5, please feel free to share. Astro Boy is what I said earlier. Astro Bot is the game I was thinking, right? The Astro Bot pack-in game? I'm pretty sure that's what I actually meant. Is that going to hit me? Yes, it is. Okay. How's it going, Toots? What's up? Was it an okay week? Thanks, little green guy. What are these green guys even in, like, Mario lore? Cool, that wasn't terrible. But now we just cycle the levels again, and they just get harder. Pew. Okay, spinny thing goes there, and then I go like this. Can we get a judge on that one? Was that legal? What do I do here? Oh no. Oh, and he comes down here too? Oh, yuck. This is okay. Oh, I have to be like engaged. Can I climb? We're gonna take a break on that one. We got no stars. Sorry, I got lucky. Ugo says, I am at work working. Did I miss anything big? You missed some pro level play. I think I set a new world record for Mario Brothers minigame. That was pretty exciting. Some other things happened. We talked about the PS5. Yeah, some other things. But don't worry, we're still here for you. If there's anything you want to bring up, feel free. Tooch says, there's not many PS5 exclusives that aren't also on PS4. Ragnarok is excellent if you liked Data Boy 2018. Definitely, yeah, I mentioned the Astrobot game, Returnal, which is getting a PC port, but, like, you know, not everybody has a big gaming PC set up. Ratchet & Clank, I think Ratchet & Clank looks great. I haven't played that new one at all. And we also talked about the Demon Souls remastered. But yeah, like, not just exclusives, but like if you don't have another PC gaming setup, which can get very expensive, a PS5 would be a great way to play big, giant contemporary games, and they look great and run great and stuff. So that's that. What else here? Weep says, the DC Cinematic Universe is restarting again. What are we on now? Like 2 or 3 different rounds? Was Young Mutants, is that DC? Wasn't Anya Taylor-Joy in that also? I think I watched that at some point. Anyway, we are there any specific movies in the next DC lineup that you're super into, or that you're really looking forward to? Ugo has some more information. I'll get it. Tude says, I'm all right. Happy to hear it. I'm very happy to hear it. It's been a rough couple weeks for me, but we're here. We're doing the stream. We'll have more videos soon. But it also, in this minigame, I'm supposed to stop the insects and the monkeys. It makes sense in practice. Don't worry. Yeah, but I'm very happy to hear you're doing well. The channel will be more active in the near future, I promise. And once again, since it was a long time ago at the start of the stream where I showed this the first time, emulating this game is not illegal. In this case, because I have the cartridge, which is hard to see, but I promise it's the real cartridge. And I backed it up. I'm not cheating. I was trying to play it on the Switch, and it didn't work out. So here we are. Just wanted to have that out there for the record. Ugo says, James Gunn is good at what he does. I'm kind of done with super defender of the status quo. So you mean like James Gunn's work specifically in relation to superhero movie dominance, or just like superhero movie stuff in general? Or feel free to clarify. Leap says, nope, but I know the guy who wrote the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie is a big guy in the universe. Right, I think James Gunn. Like he's the one playing in the movies and order. Okay, so it sounds like they've kind of put him in charge of the next round of cinematic universe movies here. Yeah, I mean, I generally have positive feelings about James Gunn's work, even going back, way before we got into the superhero stuff. But I will say, I also understand why he got kicked out of like the Disney Marvel scene. So I'm interested to see where the stuff lands. There are some of those somewhat recent DC movies that I liked quite a bit. I like some of the DC shows. That Harley Quinn show is still great. I've heard good things about some of the Teen Titans reboot stuff. So it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But I'm vaguely interested to see what they do this round of movies. Tooch says, I recently finished Ghost of Tsushima, which took almost 100 hours. I heard a lot about it when it was released, but I didn't know it was so polished overall. That's great. Yeah, I watched some reviews, I watched some gameplay. I'm very aware of that game. I haven't touched it myself. I assume it's on PC as well, right? So maybe I'll try it out sometime. Gorgeous looking game, though, in terms of visuals and color palettes and everything. So it's one I'm definitely looking at. Another 100-hour game. We were talking earlier. We was saying they've completed Persona 5 Royal like numerous times, and that's another one that typically takes around 100 hours to complete. I've definitely played plenty of games for more than 100 hours, but I don't think I've ever played a game that has like a 100-hour campaign. You know what I mean? So I'm very impressed by anyone who like sticks with something for that long and sees it through the end. Really cool. And yeah, the fact that it's apparently really polished and just well executed is motivating. It's getting me more interested in it. Ugo says Young Mutation or Young Mutants was a Fox X-Men movie that was delayed for like 3 years before Disney just released it to get some more money from it. Okay. So it did end up being a Disney thing. So is that where the X-Men are too? Are they also Disney? I'm sorry, I lose track. I lose track of a lot of this stuff. Dude says, also, The Last of Us show is amazing. I have heard that. About a third of it was filmed in my city, so I recognize a lot of the locations. That's pretty cool. Well, that's cool. It would also make me a little sad, because it's the apocalypse. So I was like, why do you think my town? It looks like the apocalypse. I was there when they filmed one of the first scenes of last night's episode. Oh, that's really cool. The scene with the trucks driving through crowds and people cheering. Oh, that's rad. Were you actually like an extra? Or were you just around and you saw the like crew and the set and everything? Please feel free to share the story. I think that's really neat. I haven't watched it. I actually canceled my HBO subscription after like 2 months because they're raising the price again. This is a fun song. This is pretty good. Sorry, I'm just trying to, I want to keep up with the chat. That's why I'm really here. Weeb says, they're keeping the Shazam and Suicide Squad, and I think Wonder Woman 1 is the new universe. Oh, so that's like the Wonder Woman was sort of starting the new one, or they have another Wonder Woman movie that's going to kick things off for this next round. Is that it? Yeah, it can be tough for me to follow this stuff sometimes, but I appreciate that you guys look into it and know what you're talking about. Ugo says, James Gunn is the person in charge now for the new DC. I was talking about superhero shows where they just defend the status quo. Oh, okay. Like they bring up injustice, but don't do anything about it. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I guess you could argue that whichever... I like this one too, visually. It's called Greenhouse. And I have to get the melons. And then these mean little monkeys come down the ropes down there. What was my train of thought? Yeah, I think like a lot of television shows, a lot of the superhero movies do end up like, even if there's a big giant threat and to overcome, it ends up at a point of like everything's the same again. And that was even the case with Infinity War and Endgame, right? Whereas like at the end of Infinity War, right, is the first one, and then Endgame, it's like, oh wow, this is an opportunity to do something really different, right? Like, what if a bunch of those characters are just permanently gone? What if a bunch of people on planet Earth are permanently gone? That's a completely different environment. You can do a lot with that, but really it's just something that is around for that movie, and then everything's back to normal. So maybe that's touching on what you were getting into, Ugo. Feel free to correct me. Oh, look at this. Get the fireballs when I get all the melons. This is harder than I remember it being in terms of like the pacing so far. Also, you guys get to hear my cool new keyboard. I got my fancy new keyboard the other day and put it together. And it's very nice. It's the nicest thing I own, probably. But it's also still just a keyboard. There's a limit to the excitement, you know? If anybody watched my video on commodity communities, then you'll understand the whole keyboard situation in my life right now. Sorry, I'm gonna pause. Oh, that's not how to pause. This is how to pause. I don't want to lose the chat. Oh, there's a lot here that I missed. I'm sorry. Okay. Shoot says, I was not an extra. I was just walking home and noticed that a big chunk of downtown was totally closed for filming. I watched the filming from behind that black curtain. That's funny. Still cool though. Yeah, before I moved to California, I had only been like around a couple of filmings and big like movie things. One of them was Batman. What is the third Batman movie in the Batman Begins series? Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and is it Dark Knight Rises? Which is a bad title if that's what it is. That was some of that was shot in Pittsburgh, which is where I grew up. And there were some friends of mine who were extras in some of the bigger scenes, which is kind of neat. But the only other big one, and I don't know if the younger folks will know about this one, but do you remember Perks of Being a Wallflower? It was like a YA book, and then they made a movie in whatever year that was. I guess around 2010, 2011. The high school stuff, the school scenes for Perks of Being a Wallflower were shot in my high school. And the English room, the English class in that movie was actually my senior year English class room. Some of my friends were extras in that scene with the Paul Rudd teacher and stuff. But yeah, the guy who wrote the book is from like the next town over. So apparently he was like, oh yeah, I'd like to shoot it around there, get some of those Pittsburgh locations and stuff. And the funny part was, he was from a town that has a much nicer high school now, like compared to when he was there in like the 90s or whatever. They really overdid that high school. It's like brand new and really shiny and nice and expensive. So they were like, well, we don't like that because it doesn't look like it fits the time period. So they came to our high school, which was not as nice and looked older. Anyway, so that was a big hubbub at the time. I think it was my senior year of school or something where they were shooting that in our high school. But kind of neat. But yeah, out here in LA, I see a lot more film shoots and stuff, and it's a bit more common. But back then it was super cool, and that's just a cool story in general too, is that you got to get so close to it, and be involved in that. And who knows, maybe you got in a shot somewhere. You'll have to go over the footage or outtakes or something. Okay. Weep says no. They're the three. They're keeping everything else. Okay, they're keeping those three, but they're keeping all the other, I guess, characters and stuff are going to be a reboot. I think there's a new Superman. I heard about that. But otherwise, I haven't followed super closely. Ugo says Disney does their own X-Men now, but it doesn't matter that much. Like nobody cares or something, or they don't care about it. Toot says also I did a completionist run for Ghost of Tsushima and got the platinum trophy. Oh wow, my gosh, the campaign was less than 50 hours, but the side quests took at least as long as, if not more. Okay, gotcha. So 100% would be closer to 100 hours, but like main story, main campaign 50-ish. Okay, I guess that sounds about right. I know they tend to have lots of extra content in these big open world games that's just side quest, side content stuff. I don't remember whether there was DLC for that game as well. My dream was seeing Pedro Pascal in the flesh, but sadly that didn't happen. That's too bad. They probably won't film much of season 2 here since it's set in Seattle. Okay, yeah, I mean, different look in general for sure. There were a lot of people shooting guns in the air during the filming, so some people in nearby apartment buildings ran out to see what was going on wearing pajamas or sweatpants. Yeah, I feel like that's something they're supposed to inform people in the neighborhood of filming. So they'll put a little slip on like doors and stuff like that that says like, hey, date and time, these streets are going to be blocked off. This is the project that we're working on. At least that's what they do here. So Seems like they should have told people about that. They may have been notified that filming would happen. Okay, but they didn't realize it would include hundreds of gunshots. Yeah, see, that's another thing entirely. That's like a potential safety concern, right? Nobody wants to be hearing real live gunshots in their neighborhood. Ugo says The Last of Us on HBO Max looks good. Both Pascal and Bella Ramsey are both very good in it. I have just seen reviews because I don't have HBO Max anymore. Same for me, Ugo. I haven't. Yeah, I haven't done that. Or rather, I got rid of my HBO Max. It's too expensive. I'm sorry. But I would like to watch the series and plenty of other HBO stuff. So I'll find a way or use somebody else's account. Basic Weeb says, I heard they are renaming Preston High School in Idaho to Napoleon Dynamite High School since that movie is a big part of that town since it was filmed there. That's kind of interesting. Yeah. I mean, especially if it's just like a very small town sort of in the middle of nowhere. A movie as famous as that, I could see just being like, that now kind of defines not the town, but certainly the school. That's kind of neat, although depending on what it was named after previously, I hope they don't feel bad. And Ugo says Gal Gadot or Gal Gadot got fired from Wonder Woman, so I don't think she'll be back. What? Did she like do something controversial? Oh, good. I can use both A and B to spit my watermelon seeds. Is this what watermelons look like in Japan, by the way? Are they like completely round and delicious looking? It's like ready to go. It's not just Mario who jumps down tubes. Pipes, rather. Okay, monkey, I gotcha. Weeb says, and the old mascot is Indian, so they want something that's not, controversial. Gotcha. Yeah, if it's one of those situations where, actually, that was my high school too. Our like sports mascot was a Native American like stereotype, and I don't know if they've even changed it now. At the time, it was controversial, but that was quite a while ago. But yeah, that's definitely still a thing in a lot of places, and I get that like. In the case of my high school, they're trying to acknowledge like the history of Native Americans in the area, and that's like sort of admirable, I guess. But at the same time, the way that they were doing that wasn't very good. So in this case, yeah, let's go with Napoleon Dynamite High School. But I'm impressed though. So Weeb, do the youngins, do you guys still watch Napoleon Dynamite and stuff? When I was growing up, it was massive. But is it a thing that everybody knows about? Is it still like popular and stuff? I guess it's very memeable. So in that sense, I could see it being a continuing thing. Even like SpongeBob stuff, plenty of people who weren't really around for the first few seasons of SpongeBob, we still know, they still know all those references and stuff. It holds up really well. But yeah, Napoleon Dynamite seems like it was so long ago, at least to me. That was such a big deal. I'm pretty sure I watched that on somebody's like portable DVD player. Does anyone remember those? Like handheld folding DVD players that you'd have for the bus or the plane or something. This is okay. It was nice getting that life. No. Can I run out of seeds? They're really ramping it up now. Do. Wow, did we just took out that whole rope for a while. That was kind of neat. Okay. No, come on. Do you think anybody speedruns this? Is it even possible to speedrun this? Because it's like an arcade game, so it doesn't have an ending. I didn't see that monkey at all. I didn't see the monkey. Yeah, now it's all downhill from here. Come on, monkey. They're pretty cute, though. And the Shy Guys. Oh, the watermelon's gone. Come on. Okay. I'm gonna get you. And then you. Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna... Oh. I was gonna pause again anyway. Just to catch up here. Yeah, there's a lot here. Cool. I'm happy that we're having a nice chat. This is great. Tude says HBO Max, or rather Crave TV here in Canada, is the only platform I watch weekly release shows on, so it's worth the premium price for me. Totally fair. So HBO Max is included in something called Crave TV. Is that right? But yeah, I mean, the value of any given stream, it always depends on what do you want to watch, and especially in terms of new stuff, what do you want to watch? Because in terms of stuff that I want to, older things that I want to watch over and over again, I'll just buy, Blu-rays or get discs or buy a digital copy, But for new stuff, yeah, there's no real choice. Like you either do a TV subscription of some kind, TV service, or follow the particular streaming service that's got you covered. So yeah, totally. It just for me at this particular moment, it's not worth it for me to keep HBO Max. But it's super individual, super personal, So totally get that. Maybe I'll get it again someday. We'll see. I do really like that Joe Pera show, which is on HBO Max. Joe Pera also has a new sleep podcast, if anyone's interested. I think it's called Drifting Off with Joe Pera. Started very recently, but it's great. Very similar to his previous work, but great. Ugo says, I like Bella Ramsey as both Hilda, the Netflix show, young Ramona for Summer Camp Island. Yes, that's right. Yeah, I almost forgot. Oh yeah, I forgot that she was in the Last of Us show, right? And she was in Game of Thrones, I think, as well. Is that correct? Somebody can fact check me on that one, but I feel like one of her earliest things was Game of Thrones, which I didn't watch, so I don't know her role. Obviously, Hilda's excellent. We've talked about that many times, But yeah, pretty great career so far. You can tell her voice so clearly in that prequel episode of Summer Camp Island. It's like, oh yeah, that's Hilda. I hear Hilda right there. That was a fun surprise. Tude says, my high school sports team was called the Red Men and had a real native chief as a mascot, which was weird. They renamed it to the Red Hawks with a bird as a mascot after I graduated. They were waiting for you to leave, of course. They were like, Tude isn't here anymore. It's a bird now. It's a bird. It has to be red, though, because all our stuff is red. Everybody's gym uniform is already red. What are you going to do, right? You got to have red in there somewhere. Oh, my gosh. Weeb says, oh, yeah, that's my favorite movie of all time. I grew up in middle school of Nowhere, Kentucky, so it's connected to my heart. Well, gotcha. So there you go. So, yeah, Napoleon Dynamite continues to resonate, which I'm happy to hear. I do actually think it's a pretty great movie, especially as an indie movie. Like, that was not some big budget project, And that was around the time where people were becoming more aware of even just the idea of indie movies. Little Miss Sunshine was around that time as well. Yeah, Little Mary Sun. But yeah, indie movies were suddenly a thing that the general audiences were aware of, or like us as like high school kids were becoming more aware of. But yeah, I do like. I haven't rewatched Napoleon Dynamite in a very long time. I've definitely seen clips over and over again, but not the full movie itself. It's really something. Who directed that, by the way? Someone that we know? Toot says, I rented Napoleon Dynamite on DVD, and one side of the DVD was busted, so I only got through the first half. I didn't bother getting a replacement copy from the rental store. Those two-sided DVDs were the worst. It was, for one thing, you didn't get any fun image over the disc. It was just like, blank, shiny disc. But yeah, super easy to scratch. I hated those double-sided ones. I think some of the like Pixar releases also had double-sided discs, and it was not great. But Ugo says I never saw the movie. People would call me Pedro in high school for like a long time. Uh, saw a little bit of the movie. I am nothing like Pedro. That's dumb. I don't. Yeah, they were just. I guess they were just like, oh, reference. And Ugo says yes. Both Ramsey and Pascal were on Game of Thrones. Oh, okay. I don't know Pedro Pascal's very much. My high school was a blue gopher. So, is a blue gopher like the exact opposite of a red hawk? Just in theory, right? I'll go with that. I think I support that assessment. Let's finish this off. I'm sure I'm going to lose this one pretty soon. So let's just get that out of the way. See if we get any stars here. Wow, it's getting fast. Okay. Nope. 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 No. Oh, I messed it up bad. Okay. Okay. I promise I pressed it. Okay. Slow down a little bit. That's good news. Okay. Oh. Well. There's that game. Do we get any stars? 2 stars. Not great. Weep says my high school mascot is a Bronco, and no, I don't live in Denver. See, that's the thing. I guess at least in the U.S., Bronco, you just Denver Broncos. Wow, interesting text. Unless the Bronco mascot that you have looks exactly like the Denver Broncos logo, which I feel like hasn't been changed in a long time, then I could see the comparisons, but otherwise, unwarranted. There can be different Broncos. Tude says, where's the cat cam from? I like it. This is old stuff, Tudes. I don't know if you were here, but back when I started doing streams for the first time, which was whenever that was, instead of doing face cam, I just had the cat cam. And this footage is stuff that I recorded a long, long time ago on a very old, like 2008 camcorder that I happen to have lying around. So when you see like the distortions in the image, it's interlaced video, which we've long since moved past. So that's why you say like the horizontal sort of glitches in some of the movement. Anyway, long story short, it's just some random video I took of my cat a long, long time ago. And I used to have that instead of face cam, and people seem to like it just fine. So I just loop it, and today I was like, yeah, why not bring that back? Because I've had it sitting on my hard drive ever since. So that's all that is. But yeah, since I can't reliably get the cat on the face cam for a whole stream, she'd move around too much. So that's what we're doing instead. What else can we do here? Should we switch to a different fun game? A different Game & Watch Gallery game? Maybe. What else do I have here? Yeah, let me get caught up on chat. Bronco, yeah, ours was, I think we were literally called the Indians. So, like, not great for a high school mascot, especially when nobody in the high school is of Native American heritage. Like, there's not a lot of claim to that name, especially because it's an incorrect name. Ugh. So yeah. We've asks if you had to name a high school, What would it be? For me, it would be a Stan Lee High School, and the mascot would be a T-Rex. I'm totally on board with that. For one thing, I support that. Um, and on top of that, give me just one moment here to open this. Just want that to be quiet for a little bit. This is the first Game & Watch game, which I also own, so don't worry about the legality of this. But that's a good question. Okay, so I have to name a high school and also do a mascot, right? Okay. How about should I just steal a name from like a video game or something, or a show? It would be kind of fun to theme a school around like a particular show, right? Or game, although I don't know how legal that would be. You probably have to clear that with somebody. Um, how about we name it after someone just completely made up? So people assume it's like a real person. They're like, "Oh, who was that?" So let's say the name of the school will be um, Leonardo P. Danvers High School, because I think that sounds like it could have been a historical figure, but to my knowledge, it's not. It's just a name, Leonardo P. Danvers, and the mascot would be a boat. I am not aware of any sports or school mascots that are boats. What kind of boat, you ask? I want it to be a cruise ship. It's a cruise ship, and for the mascot outfit, you could, I don't think it, I mean, it would be funny if someone was wearing like a really wide boat costume, but they had legs and arms. That would be funny. But if you wanted to do it well, I think you could have someone like, it's like a boat structure, almost like a little tiny parade float where it's motorized, you know? So you have someone in there probably laying down, and they have like controls like a motorcycle or something. And it has little wheels on it. And the boat can go the boat can go all around the football field. It can go around the track. Maybe there's little flags it has, so when something good happens, they put up a little flag through the roof of the boat, and they're like, hooray! You could draw a face on the boat. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but Leonardo P. Danvers High School would have a cruise ship as a mascot, and I think that's, I think that makes perfect sense. Jude says, if I had a choice, I would rename Winston Churchill High School in my city. Pedro Pascal High School would be better with Pedro Pascal as a mascot. No, okay, I want to make one slight alteration. Because in the event that Pedro Pascal cannot show up to every single like sporting event or like pep rally for that school, you have like, like the Shia LaBeouf meme song, and they have those big plaster heads that look like him. That's what I'm envisioning. Like a really big cartoony caricature paper mache head modeled after Pedro Pascal. I think that would work just fine. So feel free to share your thoughts on that alteration, but I do like the core idea here. Ugo says, for James Gunn, I think he wants to reboot the whole DC, and everyone's going to get fired or get a new role. Getting a new role, like recasting someone who's already been in some of the DC stuff, would be a very interesting switch. It's a truck. Thanks, truck. Anyway, yeah, like recasting someone within the DC universe would be very interesting. Casting new people, cool, like especially if you're going to grab someone who's relatively unknown, but they can do the job. That's the kind of casting I get excited about. But yeah, recasting someone who's already involved would be wild. It would be really interesting to see whether they could like pull that off. And Ugo also says the few that have not been fired are Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller's on rehab, so they don't get to fire him yet due to Actors Guild rules. I can see that being a thing. I can see SAG being like, no, you can't. If someone's in rehab, they're not going to walk out and find out they've been fired. Weeb says, imagine a high school called John Doe High School. Okay, so then would the mascot for that one just be like a blank slate, or like a Ken doll face, just like super basic features, or like a paper bag on their head, so you with the eyes cut out, so you just don't get anything. Oh my gosh, that would actually be pretty fun. Dude says, is it bad that I kind of want Ezra Miller to be the only actor to remain in their role for the DC reboot movies? I don't think it's bad. I also don't know too much about Ezra Miller in general. I think there's some mild dislike or controversy that I'm not familiar with, so I can't comment on any of that. But in general, the idea of like keeping one particular person, I don't think that's a problem, or I don't think that's wrong, necessarily. But yeah, I think in terms of like getting people excited for a next round of movies, I think a lot of that depends on getting new people involved, right? New performers, people who have a different take on the specific characters that they're going to be playing. I think that can do a whole lot for getting people interested, especially if like you have a bunch of people who have just previously ignored, more or less. These are the real old ones. People who have ignored DC stuff. A potential way to get them involved is like, hey, look, here you go. That person you like is here, or like, check out this new person who's really talented. And we're going to see what they do. A lot of potential there. So we will see. Ugo says SAG does have a rule that if someone's in rehab, they cannot be released from a contract. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. SAG in general, a lot of the guilds, in fact, related to the entertainment industry are kind of strict, and it's usually a good thing. Like, they're usually kind of fighting for the rights of the relevant professionals. So yeah, but that rule in particular makes perfect sense to me. Like, it would seem rather cruel, to cut someone out of a deal because they're either in rehab or like just got out of rehab or something like that. That would be kind of ghoulish, I don't want to save that one. We don't want to blow up the ambulance in this case. In the original game, it's a little bit darker. It's people falling out of a building, and you're trying to get them. You're bouncing them on a stretcher into the ambulance. We can look at that one as well. Anyway, so let's just, regardless of any announcements they've made about new casting choices for the DC people, does anyone have ideas? I tried so hard. Does anyone have ideas for what they could do? Any particular actors that you're like, yeah, you know what? That's a good pick. That's a good guy for new Superman. That's a good guy for new Batman. And I need to think about this myself too, because at the moment, no one's like leaping to mind. Let's see. Batman and Superman in particular are pretty crucial. Jude says the issue with Ezra Miller pretty bad. Oh no, what is it? There's evidence that some of the worst allegations... Sorry. Allegations aren't quite what they were portrayed to be, but Ezra was definitely in a mental health crisis. Okay, at the very least, they kept guns out in the open around minors and would have these guns around when they were agitated. Whoopsie. That's not something we like to do. It's, that's a bit of a goof. I swear I had that Toad. I did much better when I was playing this earlier. Just for the record. And it's saved here, so we have proof. But I'll play the classic one real quick, because growing up, it was always the one that I was super interested in. I love this. So yeah, who else would we want Should we bring Michael Cera back? Should Michael Cera's career revival have something to do with like being a superhero person? I'm trying to think of like really sort of out of the box casting decisions here. I don't want it to just be like, oh, this is a handsome actor guy, so he'll be the one. Ugo says Clark Gable should be the next Superman. Not a bad pick, although now I'm immediately trying to think of like who are some older actors who are still alive that we could potentially get involved here. Betty White, unfortunately, we cannot cast her for any of these roles right now. Jessica Walters we can't get. That would be a pretty tough sell. Who else we got? It's tough. I guess I'm also just struggling to think of who the big actors are in general. George Clooney. Do you want George Clooney to play a superhero? Or who else? Who else are the big people and have been for years? Leo. Is Leo DiCaprio gonna pick up any of this stuff? I feel like that would be a bad fit, which is what would make it interesting to me. You know? Yeah, it gets tough to tell which person is where. Why haven't they rebooted this minigame? It's really light, it's fun. The sound effects are perfect. Okay. Clark Gable. Oh, sorry. But he ran away. See, he's fine. He's okay. They don't even clear the screen for you. They're just like, deal with it. You got people in the air here. Okay, that guy real quick. Okay. Uh-oh. Yeah, it's also hard to tell who's going up and who's coming down. There's so many on the screen. Oof. Okay. Yeah, that was always going to be a tough one. Okay, they're going up. Okay. This guy. At least they all fall at the same speed. I think they do. In the other version, you get like different speeds. I was so close. Come on. Oh well. That's that. Who says I honestly don't know? Gorge? Or George? Would he come back as Batman? Oh yeah, he already was Batman. How did I forget about that? George Clooney was Batman many years ago. Everyone falls at the same speed. Thank you for the tip. Yeah, it's a good point. Jude says, I honestly don't know what the truth is, but the way Miller was treated by the police doesn't necessarily line up with the severity of the allegations. Then again, I don't know if there's a standard procedure when dealing with crimes of that nature. Yeah, it's tough. And especially if we're talking about the LAPD, which I don't know if we are in this case. There are reasons, why someone would potentially be a little skeptical of the way that they handle a particular situation. So I'll just say that. But yeah, I have not followed the details of that whole situation, but who knows? Hopefully the truth comes out. Everybody is treated equitably. Gorge Clooney, I like that. Well, that's the clone, obviously. He didn't come out quite right. The nose is a little bit different. That's Gorge. I think Octopus is pretty good. But what do I do here? I'm trying to get the treasure, I think. Hey! What a fun song, huh? Get it? Oh, can I get multiples? Ooh. Yeah, I like that. There's a big risk-reward element to that. Nice. That was a big cash in. Okay. Or cash out, I guess. Just gonna keep taking them. Wow. 1, 2. Oh, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. More. Getting greedy. Okay. Actually, give me a moment. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have two songs going at once. The other game didn't have music, so. So there are safe places down here where you're not going to get hit, but I don't know how long you're allowed to, like, sit there. I like Mario's little scuba outfit, too, or diving outfit. It's kind of fun. Oh, the tentacles are going to different places, too. So some of that sounds like hearsay, but he did break into... Oh, it forced me down, yeah. Now it's moving. He did break into someone's house to take a bottle of wine alcohol. I don't know if it was wine. Oh my gosh. Oh! Whoa! It's terrifying. Okay, fine. Oof. Two, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Ooh, nice. That was a good one. Whoa! Whoa! It's getting crazy now. I don't know. I don't know what to do here. Maybe I have a limited amount of air, too. Just one? Pretty weak. What do I do here? Both spots were shut down. What was I gonna do? Oh well, 97 points. Okay. When it gets tight, throw treasure with the B button to knock his legs back? This is shockingly in-depth. Wow, I didn't even know that was a thing. My goodness. And I don't think there are any unlocks here either, are there? Oh, potentially. What was that? What does that mean? Oh, that's just my number of stars. Interesting way to show that, though. Okay. Sorry, I want to... I guess I want to focus more on the chat here. I don't know if I'll be streaming for much longer. I should probably do a couple other things today. And also just relax because it's been a very stressful week or so. But yeah, I'll have that paused for now and just talk to folks. Why is Mario stealing? Don't they have a kingdom full of coins? Knock those legs back. Thank you, football offer. Didn't even know it was a possibility. That game was super in-depth. It's much more in-depth than Egg, my personal favorite. And Ugo, as for the desire for more coins, I mean, we know this. It doesn't matter how many coins he has. He will always be motivated to get yet another coin. That's just how he is, and we have to accept that to a certain degree. But yeah, my gosh. Well, there we go. Ezra Miller. New DC stuff is happening. People seem to like the Last of Us show, which is good to hear. I will maybe watch it at some point. Yeah, man, we've covered a lot of ground, huh? It's Kirby games too. I'll play these Kirby games later. That'll be good. And yeah, have there been other big new releases that I'm forgetting about? Big new announcements for shows. We do know that Phineas and Ferb is coming back at some point. I don't know if we've gotten any kind of release date for that. Movies? Any big movies that I'm forgetting about? Other than Puss in Boots 2, which is the one that matters. Tude says to get a return on investment. His coin greed. It must be something like that. Maybe he gets interest on however many coins he brings back to Princess Peach, you know. Well, Football Lover says to Ugo, his pockets have holes in them, so he's just picking up the coins he dropped. Could be. Could be. Was there another? I feel like there's another one I should look at real quick in here. This is just like a tutorial. I don't know. Oil panic. What? Ah. Peter Pan and Wendy movie this year. What? What is it called? Peter Pan and Wendy? How do I leave? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. How do I leave? Oh, that switches my direction. This is too much already. I don't know. Yeah, too many options of things to do. Okay, so that's not what we want. How do I leave? I want to leave. I want to give Yoshi my oil. That's there. I'm sorry, I don't like it. I don't like it, and I don't want to play it anymore. I'll try manhole real quick. Modern manhole. Easy enough, right? And I can do that, and I can do that. Kind of like egg, really. Okay, okay. Wow, I zoned out there for a second. I was so involved. YouTube blocked my previous comment. What? It's nothing I set up. Sorry about that. The only possibly objectable content was the name of the 3-letter government agency. Uh-oh. You're getting the big boys involved here. Don't worry about it. But yeah, it sounds like a mess of a situation there. Whoa, how did I even do that? Maybe it stays for a little bit after the fact. After I let go. Interesting. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa. Wow. Okay. Oh, I think one person can jump on it without holding it, and then it'll fall. Okay. Still. This is a lot. Dan Povenmire says he would be back, but Jeff Marsh is still not signed onto the show. Which show? Oh, wow. We're really moving now. Okay. Yeah, sorry, Hugo. I already forgot about which show that was for Last of Us show. Related to Peter Pan and Wendy? How do we feel about the Peter Pan saga at this point? Oh, sorry, Toad. Probably broke his back or something. Boy. Nope. Yeah, whoa. Can I just quit? Just be like, I get it, I'm not good at this one. Ugh. Man. Oh, Mario, he just runs right through. He's not waiting for anybody. He's just like, yeah, I'm Mario. Why does Yoshi have to do this anyway? Is he that low on the totem pole in the Mushroom Kingdom? These are my buttons, yes. Okay. There's a Peter Pan saga. I mean, just in general, like the franchise, like the number of... We got Pan, within the last 10 years, right? There was that, which is odd. Of course, we had Hook. We had Return to Neverland, was it? There have just been so many Peter Pan things and Neverland things. And they all seem very disconnected. I don't know if there's ever been a series of like consistent movies, like a trilogy that's all part of the same storyline, as opposed to just yet another reboot. So that's what I'm kind of curious about, is that they keep bringing it back, but it's like almost always a completely different interpretation, you know? A different vision. Hook, it feels very different from the animated movie, you know? Return to Neverland is its own thing. Pan is its own thing in terms of art direction, its vision. It's all over the place. So it seems odd to me, and there have been so many at this point. Although I do like quite a few of them. Okay, fine. Man, wow. Ugo says the people that made Phineas and Ferb. Oh, Dan Pulvermeyer says he would be back. Jeff Marsh is not signed on the show. I got you. I see. So, a bit of potential controversy there, or change up. I think they're just going to remake the movie. Remake the original yet again? Is that the idea? Dude says, YouTube blocked the same comment again after I rephrased it to remove the name of the agency. Is talking about Clones Band. Ooh. Yeah, that's probably something to do with the AIs, right? They don't want us talking about the clones, really. Do you guys know this game? Sorry, I will wrap up pretty soon. But I'm just having fun cruising around all these other games that I owned for the Game Boy, and now I get to recreate them here. Well, you mentioned clones in that comment, so I guess that's okay? Or are we talking about like a known clone who's operating in the world? Is Gorg Cloney a clone? So this is a game we had for our Game Boys, and it's terrible. This is a terrible game. Ugo says, Wendy by Ben Zeitlin. I thought it would be good due to Zeitlin's last movie, Beasts of the Southern Wild, which was a good movie, but Wendy was not very good. I didn't see that one either. I did see Beasts of the Southern Wild, and then I thought that director just disappeared. Like, that was a very well-renowned movie, well-received, had some Oscar nominations, lots of hype, and then I just didn't... I don't hear about the movie anymore. I don't hear about that director anymore, so it's kind of odd. Toot says, which actor do you think is most likely to be a defective clone? Gary Busey. Do people know who Gary Busey is? I think there's a small chance that he's a machine and that things have started to go wrong in there. But that's, it's just it's not a serious charge or anything. He can be a robot and act in things, or defective clone rather, and that's okay by me. Although I don't know what he's been up to lately. So Mr. Krabs is telling us to do something about a golden spatula. Chris Pratt. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, he has been stuck in the same mode for like most of his career. Talk to Gary. Talk to Gary. There we go. I couldn't even see that jellyfish. What? Didn't a horse fall on him? No, not Gary Busey. That was Christopher Reeves, right? That was his sad story, I think. Can I go in here? I guess. Go talk to Mrs. Puff. Oh. Yeah, this is a bad game. This is like, the controls feel awful. It's just a bad platformer. It's Plankton says I went to college. It's not good. It's not a good game. But yeah, I think Gary Busey, I don't know exactly what happened to him. He might have been in some sort of accident or something, and I'm not trying to make fun of the guy. But there have been certain interviews and such where I get kind of worried about his mental state. So, you know, that's all. Oh, there's Mrs. Puff. I'm supposed to talk to her. No, you can't be hall monitor. Fine, here, take the uniform. Cosmetics, look at that. Oh, it feels so bad. Oh, it feels so bad. Toots says my pick is a guy who plays Jim in The Office. I know his name. Not right now, though. I don't know what happened to the original dude, but after The Office ended, they clearly replaced him with a clone. Certainly the projects that he's, you know, continued to take over time are a little bit baffling. Isn't he doing the Jack Ryan thing for Amazon? To me? There's SpongeBob bringing it around town. Oh, that jump feels so bad. The controls just do not feel good. And now we're here. Oh, he's bad. Oh, how do I get past him if I can't? I have to be like exactly here. Nope. This is not going well. Oh. Oof. Hey. I forgot my jump button, so I didn't jump. Can I just go here? I don't... Can I get up to that one? Yes, that was pretty good. It's not good. I'm doing something. I'm getting somewhere. Where now? Here? That was not right. I'll just keep going down. Oh. Thanks. This is not good, yeah. This is, I'm gonna stop this. I found a net launcher. How do I use a net launcher? And here we are back at the start. You get the idea. On December 4th, 1988, Busey was severely injured in a motorcycle accident in which he was not wearing a helmet. His skull was fractured and he suffered permanent brain damage. Toots says, beat me to it, Hugo. There you go. So, obviously not trying to make light of the accident or anything like that. But I do think he suffered some, it does seem there have been some injuries there. And I think he's still working, so good on him. But I am sometimes a little bit concerned about some of the things that he says and does. Toots says, as Jim from The Office and Chris Pratt, there has to be a sitcom actor to CIA pipeline. There's something happening. And those two guys in particular end up in these like really actiony, like tough guy roles almost, and it just seems odd. Not counting the Mario role, obviously, but still. I don't know. Strange the trajectory of their careers for sure. Okay, you know what? Yeah, so I'll probably shut it down here pretty soon. But this has been a real treat. I'm so glad that some folks were able to come out here, take a look. And I'm sorry that it's been a while since I streamed or had a new video up. So I'm working on all that. But yeah, this has been a good time. Happy I had the chance. My throat hurts from all the talking. And yeah, long story short, if you do have access to NSO, Game & Watch Gallery 3 is actually pretty good, just for some sort of mindless mini games. I have very strong nostalgic feelings for it. I'm very happy to still have the original cartridge and everything. And there's some other great games on that service. But again, if you're an emulator person, here are the games, here are the games. Like, there are other ways to access all this stuff without subscribing to an online service thing. So, bit of a mixed bag, but for anyone who's just interested in the convenience factor and getting access to that stuff in a very clean, legal way, it's a great option. So, there's that. Tooch says, I enjoy your streams because you have a calming presence, but you know what you're talking about. Thank you very much. That's one of the nicest things someone has said to me probably all year. So I'll keep that in mind. I really appreciate that. And Ugo says, how is jury duty? I can't talk about it because it's not over yet. It has been the last 2 weeks of my life, and I don't want too much stuff of me on the record saying I was doing jury duty for a particular case, and I'm obviously not allowed to share any specific details. It's been a lot, and it's been very stressful and sad and long and difficult to also do my job. So it's a bit of a thing, but I also understand why it's important and all that. So it will most likely be over this next week. But yes, that is the reason I have not been able to, do a bunch of stuff there. But yeah, I'll potentially be able to talk about it after the fact over on the Discord. I have to keep making new invite links for the Discord, so if someone's interested, please let me know and I'll do that. But it's kind of annoying how often you have to refresh that. I wish it was just open all the time and people could just join. But yeah, there's that. New videos on the way when I have the time. And I guess that's all. So thank you so much once again to everybody who shows up live. Thank you to anybody watching this archive after the fact. And I hope everyone has a lovely rest of their weekend. And I will be talking to you in one way or another very soon. But that's all for now. Thanks for stopping by.